Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of What's Happening. I'm George Binns, and I'm here with my co-host, Elliot Margolis, and we have as our guest this evening the Reverend Myozen Joan Amaral, founder and chief cook and bottle washer, I guess, of the Zen Center of North Shore, which is located here in Beverly.
That's right, on Park Street.
Park Street, yeah. How long have you been there?
Let's see, we moved there from Lovett Street in 2014. No, wait, let's see. No, we moved to Lovett Street 2014 and we moved to Park Street 2017. So it's been a little over 2 years.
Good.
5 years in Beverly.
What do you do there?
Meditate. Which is, okay, so meditation is a fancy word.
Yeah.
All it means is just being with yourself in non-distraction. And noticing. So being non-distraction means noticing that you're right here. Breath, body, heart.
Why do you do that?
Why?
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Personally, I do it because I find it helpful. I've been meditating for, a little over 20 years. And I didn't even realize how much I was suffering in my life. And so, one might ask, well, why would you want to realize how much you're suffering? But I think there's something about beginning to turn toward your suffering as a means of being free from your suffering. Some people find helpful. I also know that it's very difficult to be in non-distraction. So we try to find ways to make it fun, make it enjoyable. And that's the great exploration, how to do that, how to encourage people to sit in silence with themselves, turn toward their suffering, and in doing so, help to save the world. I'm going to say that.
Okay.
Yeah. Save the world, interesting. I'm Jewish. In my Chabad that I go to, on the high holidays, we have, during the Torah service, they have a group of people that go into another room for meditation.
Yeah.
Okay? And you have an option to do that if you want to. Well, I had no idea what it was, so I went one time.
Yeah.
And some people were really into it, and, they seem to be in a different zone, whereas not me. And so my question is it for everybody?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a quick answer.
Absolutely.
But the next question then would be, how do you get in that mode that you need to be in? I mean, some people were really,
yes,
and I'm just not there.
Well, okay, so a few minutes ago, when it said, quiet on the set, and I said, we can meditate. I'm not joking, just right now. Like what I say, where was I? I was at ICE detention at Burlington ICE headquarters earlier this morning. I do a lot of accompaniment of immigrants. And I find it very helpful just to, particularly in stressful situations. I mean, I'm a little nervous. I don't know, you guys do this all the time, but here we are in front of the cameras. Mm-hmm. It's very helpful just to stop. And if you're standing, feel your feet on the ground. If you're sitting, feel your butt on your chair. And feel the spine long so you can open the heart. And just take a moment. You can close your eyes if you want, if that's not too weird, or you can keep your eyes open and just take a breath. And that means inhaling, expanding the lungs, opening to this moment, and exhaling, softening the lungs, letting it go, kind of not making a big deal out of it, There's so many different types of meditation. The meditation we do at the Zen Center, it's from the Soto Zen school, and it's just...
Say that again, the what school?
Yeah, the Soto Zen school.
Oh, Soto Zen, yeah.
So there are different schools in Buddhism. We're the Zen school, which focuses on meditation. And then within the Zen school, there are different branches. The Soto school is one of the 2 major schools. I don't mean to get too esoteric here, but I just wanted to say in our lineage, it's just ordinary mind is the way. So we're not trying to do anything like levitate, or get into any other altered state of being. It's just about reconnecting with that this is okay, that this is just enough. And, so I work in schools. We go into schools, into different settings. I was at Salem Hospital the other day, working with a group of residents. And, we talk about mindfulness these days, and it's kind of a buzzword. But all these things just point back to, can we all just sort of relax? Get out of our heads, which is the seat of neurosis, anxiety, lots of thoughts being produced, lots of comparison, analysis, judgment, the negative self-talk that a lot of young people, I think, these days are really kind of having difficulty with, and dropping into the body. So dropping into the sensing, breathing, body breathing, and sensing, being in the sense gates. Not just the eye, seeing, but what are the sounds, right here on this set?
The problem I have with that approach is there's a biospecialist, I guess, Michael Gazzaniga, and he's written a couple of books on split brain analysis, and I got into that stuff. And one of the books he wrote is Who's in Charge? And the point he gets into is a lot of things happen in your life before you are consciously aware of them. And it's almost like your brain is running you and your consciousness at the same time. And one of the lines in there I always like is you wake up in the middle of the night and the mind starts rolling.
Yeah.
And you say to your brain, shut up and go to sleep, and it won't. And you can't turn it off.
How would you like it if someone said to you, shut up and go to sleep, which is what's happening?
Yeah.
How does that feel when you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, how about this?
Either.
Yes, so there's some people who come to me, so I'm a minister, I give ministerial support to people, and there are a lot of people who have difficulty falling asleep at night. And I find for myself a very helpful practice is the loving kindness meditation. So George, instead of shut up and go to sleep, how about, George, take a deep breath. May you be happy. Or you can say, may I be happy.
Mm-hmm.
May I be peaceful. May I be free from suffering. May I be safe. And you could say that a few times, that round of 4 sentences. They're like prayers. They're like intentions. It's a way to orient your mind. It's kind of an attitude. At night, it's like giving yourself a lullaby. Mm-hmm. And what's important in that is not just saying these words, but breathing the words. Like the whole body is involved in saying those words. So they're not just concepts. They're not just words on the conceptual level, but it's a whole body experiencing through the breath. May I be happy, breathing happiness. May I be peaceful. Hearing that word, peaceful, how soft it is, allowing that peacefulness to be you. Mm-hmm. May I be free from suffering, believing that it's possible right in this moment, in this bed, in this body-mind right now, free from suffering. And that last one is the most impactful, I feel. It's the most obvious, but how often do we think about our own safety? How foundational it is to feel safe so that everything else can flow from that. May I be safe. When I offer this meditation, and I've done it many times in Beverly, as part of the Beverly Multi-Faith Coalition events we do around town, in churches and stuff, this is universal. You don't have to be Buddhist to be doing this, I only call myself Buddhist in certain contexts where it's helpful to differentiate. Otherwise, I'm just a human being trying to be happy, peaceful, free, and safe, to be living in well-being so that I can be available and helpful in the world. So maybe the next time, maybe it's tonight, if you have difficulty
Guaranteed
sleeping.
it'll be tonight, yeah.
Will you let me know tomorrow how it goes? That's your homework.
Oh my. Afterwards, I'll have to start taking notes and get all these phrases down.
I can email that to you later.
You mentioned about loving kindness meditation. When I
Yeah.
was doing a little reading on the show for tonight, I noticed that was allegedly different than Zen meditation.
Yes.
And there's a few different kinds of meditation. So what separates the different types of meditation?
Man, you're good. That's awesome. So not many people know that the Metta Sutta, the loving kindness meditation, is not traditionally a Zen teaching. So I'm going to say that Zen is sort of known for being cool. You know, like people actually use that expression, oh, I'm feeling all Zenned out. I'm always like, what do you mean by that? You know, exactly, because Zen is cool, but maybe not in the way that people think. There's a coolness to this type of meditation which is actually silent. At the Zen Center, we sit for a half hour in total silence. There's just a bell at the beginning and a bell at the end. And then in between, you're on your own. And for me, how I understand this is deeply compassionate, deeply respectful, because we believe, if we believe anything, that all beings without exception are already awake and free. We just don't know it. We don't realize that. But I also know that it can be very challenging and daunting, intimidating for people to just sit in silence from the get-go. So, you know, and when I do actions with the Multi-Faith Coalition, they're not going to let me stand up in a Christian church and just ring the bell and we're going to sit there for half an hour in silence. So I try different things. It's how to encourage people to come a little bit closer. You know, so it's kind of incremental, moving in the direction of Zen meditation, so the coolness, again, which I'm talking about, is total silence. And the opportunity in that total silence, I was talking about this last night at Boston University. Actually, I was with a group of students in the theology department in a forum on sexuality and faith. I was on a panel of 4 clergy talking about sexuality, which for me is about talking about the whole body. And for me, meditation, and it's been phrased this way, as a rehearsal process for dying, a rehearsal process for the ultimate letting go of the ego. You know, when we take our last breath, what happens? We don't really know, except the body as we know it is no longer functioning. And so this is letting go of all of this, whatever, you know, this life has been. And I see that in the meditation process, you know, of practicing with that, practicing with letting go of the grip on the self. And the connection with sexuality, this is a little racy, but you guys are up for it.
It's cable TV, so don't worry.
I don't know what that means, but I'm still going to go for it anyway.
We're not censored.
Oh, this is great, because in sex and, you know, in that kind of connection, of course, there is this merging of self and other. There is a letting go of me and you. There's a union, and that's a beautiful thing, particularly when practiced consciously and intentionally and in the context of love. So meditation, all of this is kind of, you know, different expressions of the same thing. We want to, I think, there's a part of us that longs for union. You know, let's get to that place before we die. Let's get to that place before we take our last breath, you know, of really challenging the notion of, I mean, we know that there's you and there's me. There's you and there's me. But can we know another way of being together where it's not so much you over there and me over here, where those boundaries are less distinct, where there's more of an awareness and an enjoyment, actually, of interconnectedness. How, for instance, right now, my life is totally being created by you and by you. You know, and that doesn't have to be a scary thing. I think it takes some stability to be in that. And so that's what meditation is. Meditation is not just opening to the oneness, you know. It's also grounding in the particularity of this person, this messy thing called Joan, you know, with all my feelings and all my emotions. So when we talk about sex, I love to talk about the taboos. I love to practice with these because they're in the closet and where things fester. When we bring them out, we can find, I think we can find some release there when we talk about, when we engage actively with things like sex and the body in general, the fact that we're all going to die, difficult emotions that might bring us shame, like anger, you know, especially for women.
Why especially for women?
Well, I think women who deal with anger, who express anger, can be seen as threatening in some ways. Women aren't culturally conditioned to express anger. I mean, I have been called different names when I express anger that, you know, I will not say, but you can guess what they are.
Yeah.
As opposed to finding a way to, for men and women, to engage with our anger constructively and compassionately, and to see anger as important information coming from our inner being. There's something that wants to be expressed. So anger purified is actually wisdom. It's discriminating awareness.
Well, basically, we have a culture and a consciousness that has many emotions in it. And emotions are a way to react to a situation without going through a long litany of, well, this happens and this happens and that happens. And in many cases, you don't have time
Yes, George.
to sort out all
Yes.
these
Yep.
ifs and whys and wherefores.
Yep.
And the emotions take over and
Yeah.
you get a reaction.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's appropriate, sometimes it's not. The fight or flight reaction that people get into when you have a serious threat, or you
Yes.
perceive a serious threat,
Yeah.
is one that is literally life-saving kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
But at the same time, if it's not a serious threat and you get into that kind of an adrenaline rush, there's some cute things about saying, not saying the things that come out of your mouth when you're having one of these nasty feelings kind of
yeah.
stuff.
Yes. Yep.
So you get into a thing where you can react
Yep.
adversely when it's not appropriate.
Yes, and I'm not suggesting that meditation is going to make us robots. You know, that I do see meditation as actually encouraging us to be more deeply human. And so I would like to offer a third alternative to this construct of fight or flight, which might be face. You know, just meet. In meditation, the posture, the upright posture is extremely important. You know, this long spine of meeting what's arising, usually in the inner world. It's very interesting to watch people as they're meditating. Sometimes this happens, this leaning forward, you know, and sometimes this happens, leaning backward. You know, this is all karmic stuff. You know what I mean by karmic?
No.
Yes. So karmic means, our karmic life is basically stuff that's happened to us or stuff that we do. Karma means volitional action. So we talk about karma and we talk about dharma. So dharma, and we were talking about this earlier, means truth or reality. It's finding a way to be with the fact of our karmic life in a way that's not so tight and trapped, that we can, in other words, we can work with our difficulties. And when we start to practice with difficult encounters, like those difficult conversations where we sometimes react, it's possible that with a sustained meditation practice, it's not that we never say the wrong thing anymore. I don't believe that that's true. But I do think what might change is, you know, maybe if we do say the wrong thing, we notice it more quickly and we confess and repent. You know, we own it. and we vow to do better, to learn from that.
So a translation of karmic life is stuff happens.
Yes, it's cable TV. We could,
Yeah, I can get away with stuff happens. And,
Yes.
Is that an accurate representation?
I would say so, you know,
So
and that's okay. That's called life, and how do we meet it is
Yeah.
the question.
Yeah, life is what happens while you're making other plans and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
When in again my research, I found that in Taiwan they use meditation to help people who have been involved in drugs.
Uh-huh.
How does that help people with meditation and somebody who's a drug addict to try
Yes.
and get them out? Because if
Yeah.
it's working there, we sure have drug problems around here.
Yes, we do. Thank you
So-
for mentioning that. So Zen Center has a program on Wednesday nights called Recovery Sangha. And it's actually wide open. Anybody can come. And it is people, the majority of people who come, I think, are people in recovery who are working with some kind of substance abuse disorder. And I'm not an expert in this. I don't lead that. I support it, you know, as the guiding teacher at the Zen Center, and I am so happy this is happening. I'm not qualified to teach that because I'm not in recovery. So we've been waiting a long time to have two people to care for this program who are both in recovery for long time, and to also have a meditation practice. So I think there are different, you know, I don't know how much I can say how it actually helps a person, you know, that's kind of out of my field. But I do think, like, if you come to the Zen Center, the Zendo, the meditation space, is space. It's cushions, there's not much on the walls, there's a floor, ceiling, walls, cushions, some chairs, but just space. It's breathing room. And so the group sits for half an hour together, and then they come into the community room, which is warmer. It's not like the cool Zendo. It's the warm community room where you can talk, and it's less formal, and we have coffee there, and
Good coffee. I
good
hope.
coffee.
All right.
Yep, only the best. We grind our own beans.
All right.
And tea and snacks, and that's where the recovery meeting itself happens. And it's loosely modeled. It's not quite 12-step, because part of it too is, you know, and I have deep respect for the recovery movement in this country. The 12-step programs, I think, are actually really informing Zen practice and meditation practice, because there's a lot of discipline that's required, and there's a lot of resolve that's required in recovery work. You can't give up. And then if you do give up, then there's a community around to help pick you up and bring you back, you know, over and over again. So it's the long haul, not giving up. So if you give up a little bit, you come back. And that's the same thing about meditation. You know, it's returning to your cushion, coming back to your cushion. It's not like, sometimes I feel like one of the biggest challenges in America is we think we can open the refrigerator and take what we want. You know, we're sort of used to that. Yeah. People will come for a meditation workshop and think, there, I got it. But to see it, like, you can't go to a yoga class once and then you're all buff and toned and that's it. You can't go to the gym once, right? So this is the same thing with our compassion muscle, and that includes self-compassion. You have to tone that muscle over and over again. So to see meditation, and I'm going to say all of religious practice as practice to engage with, you know, and it's like we're studying right now at the Zen Center love as a practice, particularly in these times of so much aggression, which I think is an expression of fear. And I feel like there's a point where with the fear, we could turn either toward aggression, that's us trying to get control, or we could actually turn toward love, which is a softer state of looking for connection. I'm afraid. Are you afraid? You know, can we connect around that? Feel some solidarity? So the difference, though, in the offering in this class is, you know, and I know for myself, I've thought in my life, how can I get love? How can I get love? I want to be loved. How can I get love? But to see love as something to give, and as something to practice and as something to study. Like, what is love? Okay, I'm going to turn it around and ask you guys a question. What is love?
Yeah.
Go ahead, George.
Did you say yeah?
You've been married longer than me.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, you know when he met his wife? In the crib. They were both in the same room in the hospital
Are
together.
you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Right here in Beverly?
Now, if that's
No,
not
no,
love, what is?
In
Providence.
Providence in 1937, there was one maternity hospital, Providence lying in, and my wife was there 3 days before me.
George, that's the year my dad was born.
Is it? Yeah.
I've been thinking about my dad this week. He died in 2015 on Sunday.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Yeah.
Really thinking about him this week. When's your birthday?
October the 8th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you actually robbed the cradle.
No, she did. 'Cause she's older than me by 3 days.
She was
There
just
you go.
waiting around for you.
Yeah.
We don't have much time left, but
Oh, we're just getting started.
know.
You guys are fun.
But the question I have is, in your groups, is there an age differential between
Yes.
people? And,
Yes.
And we'll get back to sex again. So is there a sex differential?
You mean gender?
Yeah.
Or sexual orientation
No,
or
no.
gender identity? You know, all of
Get
it.
us in trouble one of these.
All of this, it's
cable,
wide
remember?
open. We have a pride flag right at the entrance, and that, gay pride. But for me, that means every color of the rainbow. Everybody's welcome. Everybody can sit. As long as you have a body, you can sit. You can meditate. So yeah, and the age differential. We've had kids as young as like 5 in the Little Buddhas program, but we also have kids who sit with us like with their parents who are 11, so that's super cool to do that with your child. And then I don't know who the oldest might be, maybe people in their 70s. I don't know if we've had any octogenarians
Well, I
yet.
qualify then.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, George.
I'm too old.
I'm not too old. Please come.
Way past me. But yeah.
So basically, you have both men and women, any age group
Yes.
can come to you.
Yep.
And
And we have cushions on the floor. You can sit on the floor cross-legged. We have chairs. You can sit on chairs. When I was injured, I lie down. I would lie down in the Zendo. So, the 4 different postures of meditation are standing, walking, sitting, and lying down. So there's no excuse.
No excuse.
okay, we have less than a minute to go. So what
Okay.
I'd like you to do is just tell everybody your address, how to get in touch with you if they're interested in coming.
Oh, thank you. Okay, our address is 123 Park Street in Beverly. It's at the corner of West Dane, across from Park Street Auto, who I recommend. And you can get in touch with us. Our website is zencenternorthshore.org, and the email address is info@zencenternorthshore.org.
I'll tell you, thank you for coming. This was
Thank
really
you.
interesting. I enjoyed this.
Thank you.
This was a lot of fun,
Thank you.
educational for sure, and we thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your questions.
And please, I hope you enjoyed this particular show, something you learn about. And if you have any questions, you now know who to call or who to email. Thanks for watching. See you at the next show.